Okay, welcome back to ETS2. Now I have already recorded one video, or I thought I had, but for some reason it didn't save it. So I'm going to go back through what nobody will ever see. I've added a new mod in my never-ending search for as much realism as possible. I've downloaded this mod here, Momo's Physics 9 No Going Back, from the Steam Workshop. It's a really good mod. As I was going through in the previous video that you will have seen, I obviously went through on that, and you would have seen in the settings that I had stability all at 100, and it made it a bit too arcadey, I suppose is probably the best way to describe it. This mod is really good. I will be looking at these seat mods just to find out what's going on with those and what they are. But the crux of this is it changes the acceleration, it changes the braking, and just makes it that little bit more realistic. You do have to upgrade settings, so we'll go and I'll show you how I've done that. So if we're just going to gameplay and we come down, now obviously I had this somewhere around here, and the truck and trailer stability was all the way up at the top, as was the two stiffnesses here. Now what I've done is I've brought the braking intensity down to 30, because obviously this is 0, this is 100, so you just roll it back to here and just tap your right cursor key 30 times and that gives you 30. Truck and trailer stability is at 40, suspension stiffness is at 75, and cabin suspension stiffness is at 0. So your suspension stiffness is the coils that are actually attached to the wheels, so they're really fairly stiff. Your cabin suspension stiffness, that's the springs that you'll have in your seat. You do get that on modern trucks, you don't get it on the older trucks, but it makes your vision a little more realistic, because you do have a little bit of bounce, especially with the Realistic Roads mod. That, as you've seen in the videos, it puts patches in the road, and especially if you're from the UK like me, our roads are covered in them. They're useless, to be honest, but they're a little raised, so you do get a bounce as you go over, and you will see that your viewpoint in relation to the truck actually moves. It moves up and down, so that's your springs in your seat, and they're nice and soft. And if we come down to camera settings, we've got physical camera movement on. Now I had these, now the interior camera horizon locking, if you have that all the way to the left, you don't get as much bounce. So I've turned that and the physical camera movement all the way up to the right, so we do move around quite a bit. Okay, so that's the technical, the modding bit's done. Since since I've been away, obviously I did a couple of jobs, earned a few more grand. Obviously it didn't save. I'm reasonably new to doing this, so, well, I'm very new to doing this, and I used, because I have an NVIDIA card, I used the NVIDIA Experience for my recordings, because it's a stock thing, and I'm fairly tight, so I'm looking at getting something else to do recordings, so I can actually edit the recordings, play about with them, make them any better if I can. But that's sort of in the pipeline, because they're not all that good, or not all that cheap. So, but as you can see, our money's now sitting at 32,000 euros. It was at 22. So if we come into the progress history here, and like I say, we've done a couple of jobs. We did this one, which was Pori to Lahti, and we've done this one, which was Lahti to Kotka. Now this one was an HCT, because obviously if I can get an HCT job, I'm going to take it, because that's where you're making your good money, and it's the joy of having the mod that allows you to use them. The Lahti to Kotka was just a normal, bog standard, one trailer, nice and easy, and it wasn't exactly the longest job in the world, 187 kilometres. What this has done, we're still on level 2, newbie, and reasonably annoying. I ended that last job and got 30 points less than I needed to move up in the levels, which, if I'd had that, the next one I'm going to be putting points on is Fragile, then we'll be putting 2 on the just in time, and then I'll be building up my long distance, and then I'll go back to all the others. And obviously the ADR and the high value, they're what I'm using to, when they become available, get the medical vaccines. I've never seen them below sort of level 4 and 5, but we'll see. You never know. We might be lucky. Apart from that, I don't think there's a massive amount other than that has changed, apart from the schedule I'm looking to do. And what I'm planning to do is Monday, Wednesday and Friday I'm looking to do an ETS video, and Sunday, Tuesday and Thursday will be ATS, because it's a completely different experience in ATS, to be fair, and it's just, I don't know, there's something I do enjoy about driving the big old Peterbilts and Kenworths through the plains and prairies, and there's some really nice scenery in there. So that will be starting from next Sunday. I'll be basically doing them all either on a Saturday or a Sunday, all 6 videos, and then they'll be released obviously in that schedule daily. That's the plan. Whether it works or not, of course, is another matter. So we're in Kotka. I did notice that I'd made a couple of mistakes, and as I say, obviously I'm trying to go for realism, and one of the mistakes I'd made was I'd gone from Helsinki to Turku, and then I'd taken another job from Helsinki. Bit naughty, and I'd made a mistake. So we're going to be going, because this is where we ended our last drive, we're going to be going from Kotka, even though there's only 2 jobs from there, and the best paying one is only 3,300. to go 240 kilometres. It's pretty poor, to be fair, and it's a pretty poor truck. It's an Iveco. I don't particularly like them in this game, but you know, such is life. It's just some. I could definitely get a better job if I just said, I don't care, I'll go wherever. But as I say, I'm trying to strive for some realism, so that will make life a little easier. Now, as you'll all be aware, I do normally have to change mirrors and move my field of view and what have you with viewpoints, so as I can actually see what the hell I'm doing. On this one, the mirrors are nicely already set. The little mirrors at the top, which are your blind spot mirrors, I am going to be moving them down. I'm going to be moving my viewpoint down because I can't see anything of the dash. So let's just get on and do that now. I think that's probably going to need 10. In fact, it needs 12. It needs 12 bumps down. That's better. That way I can see my speedo, my fuel, even my lights. And this really is quite a rough looking truck. I do appreciate that Ivecos are very good trucks, actually, in the real world. They're a very popular truck used by a lot of various companies, but in the game, I just don't particularly like them. So, again, this is, unusually for me, this is a single trailer. The one good thing to say for Iveco is when we start the truck, we get our on-screen display, whatever you want to call it, and normally most trucks have got that, and I normally find myself having to scroll through to find something for the speed. On this I don't. Speed and cruise, all immediately evident, and I can read it without zooming in, but I will have to zoom in occasionally to see the speed limit in case I miss the speed limit sign. So for some reason it's 28 degrees. I'm not sure if that is accurate for Finland. It's not somewhere I've ever been. Somewhere I'd love to go, but it's not somewhere I've ever been. Okay, and now because we've got a single, well, I was going to say I'll go down and pick up this question mark, but it's at the port. So at some point, undoubtedly, we'll be taking a job into possibly Estonia, or even, if we are so minded, into Germany. So at that point, I can then pick up that question mark. And I'm seeing another one here, so we will swing round and pick that up. This is another reason for having the more time to deliver mod. It just means I can spend more time searching out truck dealers, searching out recruitment agencies, and I've just spotted another one that I didn't notice. Naughty. So that's likely going to be a recruitment agency. So it may be better if I put my waypoint there, and then I should hopefully be able to either come around there. There we go. We'll set it up like that. So basically we drive past it, go up, I believe this will be a truck dealer, come back down, hang a right, swing through and come round, and that way we should pick up the recruitment agency as well. Kopka, there's nothing to discover in Kopka, no dealers, no recruitment. So only a few companies as well. So I've got my lights on, which in Scandinavia is a legal requirement. You always have to have your low beams on. And we've got 300 kilometres to do, so best get on. And this is a really bloody loud truck as well. So I can't even hear myself think, so you may not have even been able to hear me. Now you will see, if I come out too far, sorry, you may notice that the braking is really quite a lot different. You're a tease. So here we go. Off we go to Helsinki, I believe we're going to. So there you go. I don't even notice the town or city I'm going to. I just look at how much money I'm going to make. I'll even take these bloody awful trucks, because to be quite honest, at the moment, I just want to get the money together to get a nice Volvo so we can start making some good money. I'll be connecting my profile when I do finally get my own truck. I will be getting whoops. That was a bit of a boo-boo there. But no matter, we'll just take a slightly different route. This may well be a road I haven't travelled on before, so that'll be quite nice. Yes, when I get my own truck, I do have a World of Trucks profile. And as you can see there, quite a bit of lean, because I was going a bit fast. Now, when I was going through here, there we go. So yeah, we've got easily enough. It just made me think. Oops! It just made me think because there's a fuel station over there. And let me think. How far across do we reckon we are? A foot, maybe? Ooh, okay. Quite a bit more. About 4 feet. Well, about 6 feet, 7 feet over. So I have to look at that. Watch for that. And I'll be brutally honest, it is down to the brakes. The brakes are not as sharp as they were. That's the physics mod. And it is set like that. That's why I've got the mod. Because it reacts more like an actual Arctic, an actual truck. Now, one thing I've been looking at is ways to make these slightly more interesting and not quite so much of me just rambling aimlessly as we're driving down the road. There we go. So I've been rummaging through the internet, that wonderful, wonderful resource of all that anybody has ever written, whether it be true or false. And been having a little look at some tourism websites, mainly for Scandinavia, and the Scandinavia that we have in this game, which is Finland, Sweden, Denmark and Norway. And what I've found is some little factoids, I suppose, or interesting bits about the various countries. So what we're going to be doing, or what I'm going to be doing on these trips, is just going through some of them, depending basically on what country we're in at the time. If you like them, if they seem interesting, let me know in the comments, and I'll start looking around to see if I could possibly find some little factoids or interesting tidbits about various towns and cities that we go through. As I say, I don't really know much about Scandinavia. I know a little more probably about Norway, because my grandfather was from Norway, so I've got a little more knowledge of Norway than really anywhere else in Scandinavia. So we're going to start off with one that I think pretty much everybody in the world knows about Finland, and it's that Finland is the happiest place. It's the happiest country on earth, according to the United Nations World Happiness Report. And they hit that marker in 2020. Now, from what I know of this World Happiness Report, it's a very sort of Scandinavia heavy report. They're always floating around in the top, all of Scandinavia, including the other parts of Scandinavia that we don't get in this game. But in 2020, Finland jumped over everybody else in Scandinavia and jumped into #1 position. So there you go. If you want to be happy, go to live in Finland. And these are all on paper, so it's quite interesting. That I'm sort of I'm doing something that you should never ever do. I'm being totally distracted from the road by picking up bits of paper to the side of me, having a little glance at them. I'm quite good at that though. I'm a bit of a speed reader. I do have slight ocular adversity, I believe it's called, where I can kind of look at two things at once. It's slightly weird, slightly odd, and sometimes does screw up my focus, so that could be another reason why I went past the red light back in Cargo. So let's see. Helsinki is home to almost half of the foreign population of the entire country. And this apparently has come from Statistics Finland. And at the beginning of 2020, there were 423,493 people with a foreign background living in Finland. And out of those, there were 209,000 of those 423,000 lived in Helsinki, in the Greater Helsinki region. And the greatest concentration in the capital region is made of Somali and Indian backgrounds. Oh, I shouldn't have put my foot down quite so harshly there. But yet, for some strange reason, I didn't get a ticket, even though there was a dolphin. So that was quite surprising. Suddenly I noticed I was in the red on the bottom, and the light lampposts seemed to be moving rather quicker than normal. That's that moment you look down and realise you're going really rather fast, and you think, oh dear, I'd better slow it down just in case. Some people do, I suppose. I'm not averse, I must admit, to going a little over the speed limit. I don't think I'm alone in that. But there we are, it's nice and quiet now. What are we at? About 1100 revs, somewhere around there. Just hot and yet another dolphin. Don't want this turning. Okay. This exit. Where will the next exit go? Or do we? I really don't know anymore. It does certainly look like it. Now, if somebody could help me out with some of the pronunciations of these Finnish places, I'd really appreciate it. Because I'm always slightly concerned about potentially getting it wrong and offending people. It's not intentional, it's just, to be quite honest, I struggle to speak English sometimes. So, it's not intentional, it's just that I'm an idiot. Okay. Again, as I said before, one of the things I like in new update is that coming onto the motorway there, and the cars will slow down for you because as long as you're indicating and you're coming towards the end of the slip road, and they'll slow down and let you in, which is very nice. And if it's particularly heavy traffic, they'll actually stop. It's really good. And this looks like it's probably going to take a while to get through this traffic. So I think maybe we'll move into my next factoid, which is about the language of Finland. And now Finland is lumped in with Scandinavia, but the Finnish language has absolutely nothing in common with Swedish, Norwegian, Danish. Has absolutely no relation to any of those languages, any other language in Scandinavia. Apparently it is part of the Uralic family of languages, and its closest relation when it comes to language is actually Hungary. Now I must admit I actually already knew that, and it comes from watching a wonderful programme on the BBC in the UK here called QI, which used to be hosted by Stephen Fry, everybody's favourite brainbox, and is now hosted by Sandy Toksvig. We have many seasons, and it's full of, again, interesting little facts that you may or may not know, and it's a bit of fun, and it's good to broaden one's knowledge, I think. Always is. I'm one of those people, I wasn't great at school, mainly because I always felt like they were trying to teach me what I already knew, which is why, as I got older, I started to, I kind of always had done anyway, I started to really go in for learning just for the sake of learning, and for expanding my borders. Now, where are we going here? Ah, yes, that's it. We're going straight up. As you see, we're not getting a massive amount of lean side to side, which you normally would do, having stability down at 40%. It is slightly more exaggerated on braking. And also, if you try and accelerate harder than you really should, it will lean back slightly. But again, not by much. After all, listeners, this is an articulated lorry. It is not a race car. It is not a muscle car. It's an Arctic. They don't tend to be the most insane type of truck or insane type of vehicle. Now I'm yet to see what it's like with an owned truck, as obviously I don't have that luxury yet, as we're only sitting on 30 grand, and unless we start getting some HCT jobs soon, it's going to take a while. So I have a question to posit to everybody watching this video, and please leave your opinion in the comments below. And the question is this: how should I proceed with this career? Should I A, continue grinding away, picking up the best jobs I can possibly get, or, you know, and in that case then I can buy the truck and have no loans, or do I B, go to the bank when they offer me the €400,000 loan and say yes please, and sign my life away to the bank. As I say, please leave your suggestions below in the comments, and I will read them and I'll tally up, and we'll see what we do. And on the same vein as that, what truck should I get when we go to buy our first truck? Should I go cheap and buy something like an Iveco that I'm driving now? Or should I go mad and get the Volvo FH, which is far more expensive? In fact, I think it's probably the most expensive truck in the game. So again, leave your suggestions in the comments below, and again, as I'm saying, I'll be doing 6 videos basically every Sunday, or it could possibly be split between Saturday and Sunday. It all depends. But the plan is for 3 ETS and 3 ATS videos per week. And this is something I always have a little issue with as well. I have to keep reminding myself I'm in Europe, because I've got a great many hours on ATS as well, and I'm used to coming to a red light, as I have, and saying, nobody coming, excellent, I'll turn right, I'll go through the red light, because obviously in the US, totally legal, which is, I think, extremely sensible. It's one of the truly good things that the US has given us, is the turn on light. Turn light on red even. Because it really does make sense. If there's nothing coming and there's no danger, why should you need to sit there? I suppose it's not such an issue now, these days, because a lot of the modern cars, when they come to a stop, will actually turn the engine off. And then as soon as you touch the accelerator again, the engine starts up again, which saves fuel and cuts down on emissions. But I still think it's a great idea and should be adopted. And should also be adopted in the UK, but obviously as a turn left on red rather than turn right on red. Because obviously we drive on the left, so you don't really want to be turning right on red, because you'll just immediately have a bloody great accident and it would just be horrific and stupid. And again, another question for everybody viewing the video, watching the video. When I start running the videos on ATS, which won't be this week because it is currently about 7:15 in the evening, and obviously I've already done one video but nobody's going to see it, and I did try and fix it, and it wasn't playing the game. It started recording, but then I realised what had actually happened. It started pressing the key combination to start recording, and it would start recording and then immediately stop recording. So I was getting a video of 0. Okay, fine. You want to play that game? Not a problem. So to be honest, I just restarted the entire system and then spent 10 minutes trying to wake up my microphone. So obviously we're going to be looking at investing in some better equipment, a better microphone and headset combo, because I do pretty much play all my games now with my headset on. I just find it's a more immersive experience. And I must say I've recently reinstalled it. I've beaten it 8 or 9 times already. The 2016 reboot of Doom. I've always loved Doom, and to be honest, I've always loved all of ID Software's games, because it's a fun diversion. It's running and gunning, not really giving a damn. Oh well, yep, I just got killed. Oh well, never mind. I'll just restart back at the start of the level, not a problem. And I must admit, I'd never played Doom with a headset, and I started playing it recently, and found out that playing it with the headset, turned up quite loud, is absolutely awesome. It is so much fun. It's just it's really atmospheric. obviously with the headset on as well, because it's stereo pumping directly into your ear holes, you can hear where the enemies are, where these various bizarre demons are coming from. And I love it. I think it's brilliant. Now I must admit, with Doom, because I've beaten it so many times, I've been through all the like, oh no, I just died. Now I don't play it because I've got an obsession to beat it or anything. I've beaten it, I've seen the ending videos and everything else. So now I just use it essentially as a laugh. So I do use a game trainer. I basically make myself invulnerable and weapons everywhere. I basically by using that I'm turning it into a Hollywood movie where the good guy doesn't die and he never runs out of ammo. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. It's amazing. I never actually realised that machine guns had infinite clips in the real world. I thought that only happened in games. But, so yeah. So I always use a headset now. So, and the headset I've got is not particularly expensive or high-end one. So I will be investing in one of those. I will be investing in better recording software, just so as I can do something with the videos, because at the moment all you are seeing is exactly what I'm seeing. It's completely raw, unedited. And in actual fact leads me on to yet another question. As I've already said, I screwed up. The recording software screwed up, or we both did. And how would you like this career mode to proceed? Do you want me to continue just grinding and recording all of the grind, or recording all of the grind, or would you like me to go away, do 6 or 7 jobs at a time, come back, go through what we've done, maybe I'll record snippets of it once I get this new software bits, so I can show you the most interesting parts of the drives until we get to the point where I have my own truck. So yeah, again, let me know what you think. Now another thing I'm looking at is a new graphics card. I'm currently running a 1650, GTX 1650, which is a good card. It does what I need it to do, but I'm finding that it is a bit of a bottleneck. I've got a good CPU. It's a Ryzen 5, I think. I can't remember exactly. And I've got 32 gigabytes of RAM. So it's fair. I mean, let's be fair, 32 gigabytes of RAM. If you've got everything else sussed, I'm not going to need to upgrade my RAM for quite some time. And even when I do, RAM is a dime a dozen. To be fair, it really is. I can remember many years ago, I was actually at college studying IT, and I went on work experience to a company, and they actually bought and sold computer components. And it was brilliant because I also had a PC at home, still living with my mum and dad's at the time. And it was great. I actually got quite a few contacts from there that no longer exist because companies that did RAM just don't exist anymore. But I found out all about the gluts of RAM that happens when suddenly RAM that was costing, we're going back a long time, and to be honest, at the time, probably 16 megabytes was really big. That was a really, really big amount for that. 16 megabytes. You could get 32, and you could also get 64 megabytes of RAM. But only top-end computers had that. I mean, dear Lord, we were still running on 80286 processors. So, I look at today's computers and it's quite honestly they're unrecognisable. They would have been unrecognisable to the generation that had the computers that I started with. I still vividly remember my first PC. It was an IBM PC-XT, and I thought it was the bee's knees. It was the best computer in the world, and it kind of was. It had, oh, thank you very much. It had 640 kilobytes of RAM. It ran on a 4.7 megahertz processor, I seem to remember. And the hard drive, well, I hadn't upgraded one. Okay, so mine was an upgraded XT. And it had massive capacity of 20 megabytes. Wonderful. And we also had something which you'll only know about if you're of a certain ilk, a certain age. Which was the 5¼ inch floppy disk drive. I mean, everybody's heard of the 3½ inch, I'm sure, which was hard plastic cover and could store about 1.5 megabytes on it, 1.44 megabytes. Now, oh, nice easy parking. Yes, these were 5¼ inches wide in width, and they truly were floppy. They were basically the disc covered in practically cardboard. But they were great. They were great. They were the best thing you could get at the time. So now I look at like the PCs we're using these days and the consoles we're using these days, and they obliterate everything from back then. I mean, we're going back 35, 40 years. So. Okay, so we're going to up our fragile cargo so we can open fragile cargo. And that will also give us extra experience if we get fragile, extra rewards if we get fragile, and it's going to open more deliveries up. Hey, we might get more HCTs now, because I must admit, I love driving them. I love them. I think they're just great fun. So, we are now back in Helsinki. And look at that. Almost immediately, an articulated trailer, 27 tonnes, as I say, is more than likely going to be an HCT. And they're giving us a nice truck, a 480 horsepower DAF XF, which are a very, very nice truck. Money's not great, but it's not a massively long distance run this. So obviously, because it's an articulated trailer, I won't be mucking about trying to swing round in various towns and trying to pick this up, that up and something else up. It's pointless. If there's anything on the way, yes, I'll pick it up, but aside from that, I don't, I always get that wrong. Every truck is a little bit different, every single one. So let's just check, and I was wrong. It's just a normal Arctic. A normal Arctic, a normal double. So you have the full-size 40-footer followed by a 20-footer on the back. So we'll have a quick look on the map. Like I say, we're going to pick that viewpoint up when we eventually come back to Helsinki to go to Estonia or Germany. Everything here I've already unlocked. And we do have somewhere on the way by the looks of it. Well, that's brilliant. That means I'm not having to go out of my way. That is already opened. That truck dealership there, I've already got it open. And as you can see, there's our border, and here's the border obviously. We have Naantali, Olkiluoto and Loviisa. I know, I'll guarantee I have pronounced those completely wrong and massacred them. Please do not hate me for it. I'm not Finnish, so I don't actually know how they're pronounced. I'm doing my best. So, 250 kilometres to go. We'll be getting there at midnight. But again, it's Finland. In this game, Finland is the land of the everlasting sun. So, as you see, our up display here, I'm going to have to move it to see if we can find anything, and we can't. So we'll leave it on the fuel consumption. Again, because I've got this in European, obviously because I'm left-handed, so everything's in kilometres per hour. So our fuel consumption is showing in litres per 100 kilometres. I don't know what the best one for that is, because I'm used to being UK based, I'm used to miles per gallon. And the calculation to go from litres per 100 kilometres to miles per gallon, I'm quite good at mental arithmetic, but I'm not quite that good. So we'll turn on the automatic wipers, turn on the lights, see how loud this is by opening the window. It is a little loud, so we'll probably leave the window up. And, well, away we go to deliver maple syrup to Turkey. Which may seem weird, but then you actually consider it and you think, well, Helsinki, port city. I'm just going to let this guy go by, because I need a bit of a wider angle, and that wasn't wide enough. Oh, well done, Rob. So let's see if putting the diff lock will help us. As long as it's not too caught up, it will normally be okay. Oops. Yep, and we're through. So excellent. Just check our damage. We didn't cause any damage, so all good. As I say, that's the only pain of much, fellow trucker. Now when you're going through the centre of Helsinki, you got to watch out for those trams. And I've got a lot of hours on this, and I've been through Helsinki a lot in this game. And I have come staggeringly close to getting wiped out by a tram so many times. You just have to keep your head about you, and you'll be fine. And I want to be in the left-hand lane, unfortunately, which means this could take a while. But it's the only way out. I have no other way out. Unless, in actual fact, we could go straight over, I believe. It's not too bad. Anyway, let's go for another factoid, shall we? And in actual fact, before we go for that factoid, we're moving. Just going to take a little drink. So, next factoid. This one is again about language. And this is something I didn't know. I know that in Europe, a great many of the countries, if not all the countries in Europe, children learn English at school as well as their mother tongue. In England, we have languages, but they're not really taught to the same degree. You never get somebody really coming from school in this country who's fluent in German or French, or it's not as big a thing, I don't think. But yeah, moving back on to the factoid, and it is that obviously, as I was saying earlier, the Finnish language is actually closer to Hungarian language than any Scandinavian language. And with that in mind, yeah, the Finns learn English at school. You absolute idiot. You stopped to let me go by and then started driving. What an absolute... Yeah. Every word I was thinking of there was a curse word, so... And I don't have a beeper. Who knows, when I get the proper editing software, I might be able to get a beeper, and then you'll be able to hear my true road rage, which I do have. Hell, I get road rage in the supermarket when I'm going to do my food shopping for the month. I get road rage walking around a supermarket because I just think, well, I can do this quickly and efficiently. Why can't I? Anyway, we're diversifying back onto a UK trucker ramble and rant. So I must apologise. I've got to stop doing that. It's just I get annoyed actually very easily at things, especially as I'm getting older. But it tells me 80 and then goes down to 70 because we're on the bridge. So yes, so obviously as I say, Finns, yep, they learn English at school. They also learn Swedish. Swedish is the second official language of Finland. obviously their next door neighbours are the Swedes. Again, lovely country, I'd love to go there. Never had the chance. And from what I've managed to glean, as I say, this has all come from an official Scandinavian website for tourists and for people who want to learn about Scandinavia. And we have an accident. That road sign you saw just a little ways back, that was actually a road sign to signify there's been an accident, and that is part of the Daniel's random events. Again, this is why I say the mods I have, the quality of life mods and their realism mods. I don't have cheaty mods or anything like that. Apart from, I suppose you could consider my time mod to be slightly cheaty, but it isn't really, because it's not meaning it's not making me more money, it's not increasing experience points. Anything, it's actually slightly lower. I've actually slightly lowered it from the standard, so it does make it more challenging, but you have more time. You can take the time out to appreciate the scenery, because I've downloaded those realism mods. So it just makes the whole experience just that little bit more enjoyable. But so yes, as I say, the Finns apparently learn Swedish at school and English, and it's spoken. Swedish is spoken mainly on the western and southern coast of Finland, while as many as 5% of Finns consider Swedish their native language. So there we go. And just while we're coming around here, a very, very quick one. And this is about taste and about drinking. And it's that the Finns are apparently the world's biggest drinkers of coffee. I know what some of you may have been thinking I was going to say, but no, they're the world's biggest coffee drinkers. They consume more coffee per capita than any other country, not just in Europe, but in the entire world. Now, of course, some of these that I'm getting are a little bit are a little older stats. They might be a couple of years out of date. The average Finn apparently consumes 12 kilos of coffee every year, and drinking 8 cups of coffee a day would not be considered unusual in Finland. Now, again, I'm getting this from, I think it was Discover Scandinavia or something like that. So, if these are wrong, please don't blame me, please don't shoot me, I'm only the messenger. But thinking about 8 cups of coffee a day. Now it depends on the size of the cup, I suppose. Now I'm a fair coffee drinker myself. I do like a cup of joe, but I tend to drink my coffee. I do drink the odd cup of coffee when I'm at work, out the vending machine, just cause, especially this time of year when it's a little bit on the cold side, and I go out for a quick break. I do tend to have a small cup of coffee, usually a latte or an Americano. It's just something warm and wet. But when I do drink coffee at home or at friends' houses, the friends I've got that I spend the majority of time at, I'll go around and we'll have a few beers and watch movies and play games and listen to music. I'll get up in the morning, they've all got cups that I use, and they are cups that hold, well, they're mugs, and they hold a pint. So every time I have a cup of coffee, I have it as a pint of coffee. And I like my coffee very basic. I just like coffee grounds and water. No sugar, no milk, just coffee as it is. Boiled beans, basically. But my thing with it is I tend to have my coffee to the position where it's very, very nearly syrup. It gets quite a syrupy consistency. It's quite thick. And this has caused me problems over the years. I'm sure everybody watching has heard of the DTs, which is what drinkers get in the morning. When they get up, they get what are called the DTs, delirium tremors. And it's basically their body, if they're a big drinker, you don't tend to get it if you're just somebody who goes out a couple of times a month, has a few jars down the local bar. This is generally happens to people who drink a lot and drink every day. They get what are known as delirium tremors. And it shakes. It's a shakes. Your hands shake really quite a lot. And as I say, my enjoyment of very strong coffee has caused me an issue with that over the years, in the past. I used to drink 4 or 5 pints of coffee in that mixture every day. I would wake up in the morning with DTs, withdrawal symptoms from caffeine. Because one thing that I don't think a lot of people actually know is that caffeine is actually, well, it's a drug. I think we all know it's a drug. It's the world's most popular drug. It's in tea, coffee, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. Other soft drinks are available. But it is also a poison. And all it would take, now I could be wrong on this and I will check it, and if needs be I will correct myself in the next video. But it is about a teaspoon, I believe, just a teaspoon of caffeine, pure caffeine, even mixed in water. And you drink that, it's got no taste. Caffeine's got no taste. You wouldn't know it's there. Mixed up in water, diluted. It would actually be enough to kill you. But on the same notion as that, thinking about very popular food and drink in the world, brings me on to chocolate. Now, I don't know anybody personally who would eat this amount of chocolate, but about 1.5 kilos to 2 kilos of chocolate consumed in one sitting would make you extremely ill because of the and I'm never sure how to pronounce this word either, the cacao or cacao, C-A-C-A-O. Again, it could potentially kill you. And it's amazing to think, all these things that we eat and drink and enjoy, but I suppose, and they, in large enough quantities, they can kill. But I suppose it's not surprising because everybody will always tell you, because everybody tells me, because I'm rather on the large side. Everybody tells me and we say it ourselves all the time. Moderation. Everything in moderation. Don't overindulge in one particular thing. And I went through a period of a couple of years where my diet was horrific. It was fish and chips every night, basically, or burgers. Because at the time I worked on night shift, and on the way to work I would stop, get fish and chips. Lovely, that was breakfast. And on a Friday night we didn't have a canteen at work, so for me it was the only night of the week where we didn't have a canteen. So on Friday night I used to jump on my bike at dinner, about 1 o'clock in the morning, and head up the road and go to McDonald's. And I'd get myself 2 Big Macs, large fries, head back to work, and that would be my dinner. That would be my lunch on a Friday night. It wasn't always McDonald's, sometimes it would be the kebab shop. So it was not good. My weight ballooned from about 16 and a half, 17 stone. I ballooned. I went up to about 22 stone. It was not good. It really wasn't. It didn't look good, and obviously not good for my health either. Because at the time I was also a reasonably heavy smoker. I was smoking between 20 and 40 cigarettes a day. Drinking a fair bit as well, especially on the weekends. I must admit I've always had one rule: no drinking on a school night. So, during the week I don't drink. But on weekends I used to drink really quite a lot, a hell of a lot. So that wasn't particularly good either. But over the last few years I've got off a little bit takeout food. I have takeouts probably once a month. I very rarely smoke. In fact, I went almost a year without a cigarette. No, over a year without a cigarette. And then, to be fair, I went drinking a few nights, and went over to the shop and bought a pack of the cigarettes. And I think that pack lasted me about a month. Maybe 2. Not really now, it's about a year ago. But I do still occasionally smoke, but I tend to be what we used to call a social smoker. So I have a lot of friends who smoke, and we go out for a few beers, and I'll have a cigarette with them. But mainly I'm offered the cigarettes. Okay. And that's going to do it for this episode. We've made about 9,000 euros this time. We're now up on driven distance to 1,885 kilometres. And we've only in-game been playing for a day and a half. We've only been working for a day and a half. And we've already got 8 loads done. So we should hopefully, now that the fragile is there, and then once we can open these and start going a longer distance, we'll be in the money. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I shall see you again very soon. Bye for now.